Okay, well, the countdown was supposed to start and that failed. I'm having internet issues, but that's okay. Welcome to another amazing episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. And I am laughing hysterically because we have such an amazing guest with us tonight. I'm going to bring him on, Mr. Greg Bicknell. How are
Hello.
you this
Hey,
evening?
how's it going? Long time no see.
Yes, right. I'm sorry. Greg is so excited and we can't share why, but it's like he couldn't breathe. It's
I was trying to get it all out and only had 10 minutes.
I know. And welcome, Chris. Welcome, Melanie. Thanks for
Oh,
joining
Melody's in
us.
the house. All right. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Normally I don't start this way, but this is awesome. I love the fact that Greg is so fired up. And actually, Melanie introduced me to
Yeah.
Greg a month or so ago. And when I talked to him the first time, a pre interview, I was like, this guy's amazing. He's got to be on the show because not only is Greg retired from the U.S. Armed Forces, Greg has an amazing mission in life right now, and I just really can't wait for y'all to hear it. But first of all, Greg, tell us a little bit about your overcoming story.
So, and I'm glad you're asking to get this out of the way first because honestly, I think this needs to be about the mission and less about me. But, back in 2019 or 2018, I had been in the military, 28 years. So I retired at 29. And I had brain surgery in 2018, stuff that I'd been dealing with for a long time, right? When I came out of brain surgery, at the point I went in, I was at the top of my career. I was promoted to Chief Master Sergeant, the highest enlisted rank in the Air Force, and I was where I'd always wanted to be. Well, I came out of that brain surgery, and it was kind of a botched job. I'm just going to say it. I came out of the surgery totally deaf in my left ear now, and being an aircraft maintainer for all those years, my right ear wasn't really anything to brag about. My left ear was my good ear, and I came out and overnight I was deaf in one ear. Um, and so through that time, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do because I'm really close to retirement. The mandatory retirement age is 30, but I'm thinking, man, I couldn't see straight. I couldn't. I didn't know what. Honestly, I was so devastated because I thought, man, what am I going to do next? Like, what is my life going to be like? And so at one point in 2018, after the surgery, I got to the point that I just didn't think I wanted to be here. Um, I got to the point that I thought, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be productive in society again is really where I was at. And I reached out, and I was at that moment. My wife had went out to do some, I think, pick up her daughter. I'd been crying all day. I honestly didn't know why, and but I got to the point where I just wanted to end it. And when I when I when I got to that point, I realized, you know what, I got to reach out. And so I reached out to a mental health. It was a worker. And when I reached out, I sent a text because at that day, you got to remember, I just had the surgery. My eyes were watering. I couldn't see. I was still double vision. My head was just pounding. If you could, and I'd sit in my recliner. That's really all I could do. I mean, I wasn't functional. And I'd come to the point where I didn't want to be there. And at that point, I reached out for the first time in a 28-year career. And I got a very quick response. And it wasn't the one I was expecting. The response that I got was make an appointment. And what I thought was emptying my guts on this email saying, hey, I've never reached out for help. I saw you had a badge similar to mine. Now you're doing helping folks. I need your help. And I got to make an appointment. So, the good part about that is part of that led me to where I'm at today, led me to right here talking to you. But what it also did that day is I tell people that Greg Bicknell was probably having the absolute worst day of his life. But there was a Chief Bicknell that was still inside there somewhere that said, you know what? This really pisses me off and we're going to do something about it. And I reached out to my boss and said, hey, I just sent him the email because again, like I said, I wasn't really as coherent as I would like to be, but I sent him a message and I said, hey, here's what just happened. I'm handling it. And I tell people I can only imagine that at first he was like, oh, he's going to handle it. And then he was like, oh crap, he's going to handle it. Kind of one of those things because he knew I wasn't happy because normally I would just take care of something. But if I'm letting him know, hey, I'm about to go do this, he knows it's pretty serious. And so through that, I made it through. We made some changes. I was able to speak and talk to that individual that made that comment. Uh, and hopefully he realizes that's not the way to do things. And so when I retired, I was brought on by Drocken International, one of the guys I'd worked with, the commander. I was his chief. And he reached out and said, hey, we need some down here. And I kind of told him, I'm not the guy you once knew. He said, well, I'll take who you are now. Drocken International. They hired me on. They accommodated everything that I had to go through. And I think I did a fantastic job for them. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then around Christmas of 2019, no, 2020, I was looking on Facebook right the day after Christmas, and I saw these 7 badges that had a black stripe across, indicating that someone had died. Someone had passed away, but I didn't know how at that moment. But what I found out was it was 7 folks had passed away, but 6 of them were by suicide. And so,
Wow.
yeah, it was that day that Camaraderie Rescue Mission was truly formed, because when that happened, I looked over at my wife and I said, I'm resigning. I'm getting emotional. I said, I'm resigning. I'm going to go and do what I'm meant to do, and that's to help people. And if I went through this situation, all I want to be able to do is to give of myself, and to hopefully somebody doesn't get in the situation I'm in, that we can talk and folks really start having a true and honest conversation about suicide, and letting people that are isolated stay isolated. I've got to do something. And so before the new year, I filed the paperwork, and in January, we were approved. And then in July of this year, Camaraderie Rescue Mission became a full-up nonprofit. But I'll tell you, because of the board and the group of supporters that we've had, and the folks that have really surrounded us with love and energy and time, and we've grown so fast, and we're getting, our name is starting to hit the streets, but people are just jumping on board. And honestly, at the end of the day, I haven't taken a check since March. I resigned. My last day was March 19th. And I'll tell you what, I just want to connect with the right people, and you're one of those that I've been connected with. And that brain surgery led me to where I'm at today. So though it hasn't been fun, and honestly, it sucked because it changed my life, changed my family's life, and how they dealt with me. And there's some interviews out there that will explain some of that. But I'm where I'm at right now because of 2 things. Because folks love me and God loves me more. And I'm proud to say that. And I wouldn't be where I was at without my family and friends, and the military training where Chief Bicknell got Greg Bicknell out of his bad day. And I'm here right now because I'm just trying to do what God's telling me to do, and I'm trying to follow his lead, and I'm trying to do it the best way I know how.
Mm-hmm. Wow. There's a couple things that's coming to my mind as I listen to your story again, Greg. And could you imagine that in our jobs that we have right now, that if somebody would have reached out for help, finally decided, okay, I'm going to reach out for help, and then was told, make an appointment. And how would you react in your job right now if that was you? I'm you're making me think, Greg, which could be dangerous. I mean, because I'm a big dreamer and a big thinker and a big, I go big or go home.
Yeah.
But really, truly, and for you to say, okay, I'm going to handle it. And then your boss knowing, oh shit, like
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
just
There
isn't
was
like, someone's going to get it.
He's thinking he's ticked off. He's highly medicated. I just read his emotional thing. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So we're both getting called to the principal's office on this one, I'm sure.
I'm sure. But could you
Yeah.
imagine, like, you finally are going to reach out and get that help, and then to be told, oh, sorry, make an appointment. Like, who
Yeah.
does that?
Yeah.
Who
I
does
lived it.
that?
I lived it, and that is part of my story, but that's not the story that I hope we're going to get to tonight, because Camaraderie Rescue Mission is what, and you asked that question, what would happen if I was at work? Well, this is my work now, right? So if somebody reaches out to me, we have built a team where I have folks that deal with folks. I personally am trained to deal with folks with PTSD. I'm a suicide interventionist. I'm trained to do suicide first aid. So if someone's actively in the moment, I've learned how to do that through Living Works. And I've connected with multiple organizations now that are like-minded, that just want to succeed and not worried about the paycheck or anything that comes with it. Like I said, most of us do this because we fall in love, and we want to do something that's maybe beyond ourselves. That's why a lot of us join the military. But I'm connecting with folks like, my KC out of Oklahoma City. He's out of Colorado. He's one of my best friends, Kerry Stewart. And the guy's the one that reached out to me about this time last year and said, Greg, I got this program I want you to come to at Warriors Ascent because I think you need it. And that was when my journey started. And when I reached out, when I went back to work in January, I reached out to, Wounded Warrior program. I'm a Wounded Warrior, retired Wounded Warrior. I was medically retired at 29 years. And When I reached out to them, they said, "Do you want to be an ambassador for us? Because we know you have a story to tell. We want you to tell it." Well, I had never told my story at that time. And the first time I told it was probably in February when I went to one of their events and I told my story for the first time. And it was empowering. And I saw how people reacted. And I said, you know what? This is really tough to do, but I think this is where I need to be. And they've been nothing but supportive, I mean, just it blows me away every time that I reach out and folks just jump on board with whatever it is that we need. And then after that, right when that was ending up, I was going through cognitive processing therapy because I was trying to get my mind right and trying to understand why I was a different guy and why I was getting so upset about stuff where before it was just rolled off my shoulders. And then Warriors of Sin came along. And I will tell you, if you look at some of the videos, there's videos on YouTube about me at Warriors of Sin. I did like a video blog. I didn't know what I was doing. It's probably the first time I ever done it, but I felt like somebody was saying, dude, you got to record this. And at the end of next month, I'm going back there as a mentor for them because we've stayed in contact and I love what they do. And Mike Kinney and his team out there are kicking it. And I don't go on here and just talk about my organization because I'm not sitting here talking to you without the folks that have been in this year with me. Mm-hmm. And it just blows me away. And there's folks doing great stuff. But somebody called me right now. I know I went around the tree, but there's a lot of folks that have influenced this. If someone reached out and called me right now and said that, I can tell you what, because it just happened. It happens daily. When folks reach out and say, I'm there, you know what we do is we say, all right, this is the most important thing on our plate. And if I'm not available, I have resources where I reach out and I do a warm handoff. But I will tell you, there's nothing ever too important. I got a call at 2 a.m. the other morning. I'm not going to talk about the call, but I'll tell you that waking up to some of the things when you get these phone calls, you don't say no. You don't say make an appointment. You say, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. And in that situation where they were in the medical facility, they have that badge. And I talked about this when I got actually requested in to come and talk to them as a group. Their commander said, hey, can you come and talk to our guys? And she had helped me kind of work through some things to make sure folks understood how much that could have affected me and could have ended my life. And I made a statement, if you have that badge on that says you're a medical provider, I don't care if you work in the records room, you're a neurosurgeon, or you're a PC, I don't care who you are. When someone sees you have that badge, when you answer that phone, that better be the most important thing on your mind, because when you're in that profession, that is your profession, you got to answer the call and you got to make sure you do the right thing with it. So it's not a routine job. Some career fields are routine. You go to work and you hit the assembly line or whatever. When you're working with people, that's not routine. It's as dynamic as you get. And you have to know that every single time you go in. And if you can't do it every single day, then you take a knee until you can go back and you can do it the next time.
Yeah. Actually, absolutely. I'm just going to go to the comments for 1 second. Elizabeth says, hi. Mr. Kenny D, savor the flavor awesomeness of this conversation. Hey, Russ. Thanks for joining us. Chris says amen to that. So did Russ. Carrie is awesome too.
Yeah, he is. I was on the phone with him today and I told him, man, there's so much stuff going on. And I said, man, I need your help. And Carrie's the same way. So Carrie's the one that inspires me. I'll be honest with you. I reach out to him. He's not only a friend, he's a mentor. I look up to him. And we worked together many, many years ago for those military relationships. Like I said, he and I have been married for 26 years. I went on my first date with my current wife, my only wife. Sometimes I say my first wife, but that gets me in trouble. It's not funny, right? Unless you're a guy, and it's kind of funny. But we went on that first date together, and we have maintained contact all these years. We were stationed a couple places together. But it's been an amazing experience because guys like him, I look and I see what he's doing because he's in this world as well. And he invited me. He didn't have to do that. At that time, we weren't nearly talking as much as we should have been. But this was a guy that looked out and saw me and said, Greg, man, you're struggling. You don't want to admit it because I know how hard-headed you are. But you need to come to this. And I'm not really taking no for an answer. You're coming. And I went, and it changed my life. All because one person, again, we talk about it all the time, but I speak from the heart as much as I can. But when Carrie reached out to me and said, Greg, you need to come to this. I knew he was being serious, and I knew he meant it because I knew how much he loved me. And today when I got off the phone with him, our families are very well connected. But that guy changed my life. And if I can do that once, and I'm getting emotional again, if I can do that one time in my life for somebody, but I don't want to do it for one. I want to do it to 8,030 a year. That's how many veterans are committing suicide. 22 a day times 365, that's 8,030. I want to hit all of it. But I also want to put them in a situation that convinces them they should be living. That's what we're doing at Camaraderie Rescue Mission. We're not just trying to prevent people from dying or trying to prevent people from being isolated. We're trying to give people reasons to come out of their isolation and to live and to come to some of our events and get to know some of our people and go through some of the clinical things that we're connected with and allow us to coach and connect them with these great coaches. I just spoke to one tonight, actually, up in your neck of the woods, up in Canada. And her name is Janet. I can't ever pronounce her last name. Was Wazinski, which is going to kill me, but we just talked for like an hour earlier. And she's so inspiring because her story, like I'm just sitting here eating it up. And I'm like, man, I'm going to be so ready for this thing. That's why I came in so fired up. She got me fired up, you know? And then I started,
and he was fired
yeah,
up.
I still am. And then I started looking through pictures of stuff that's happened this year, you know, kind of jogging my memory because I'm putting this thing together for a thing we're doing tomorrow. And I see all these pictures and I'm like, man, this is what I should be doing. This is what everybody should be doing.
Everybody should be fired up as Greg is, and what they do in life and how they help other people than Greg. I'm telling you, this guy. This is the second Zoom meeting that I've met with Greg, and each time this guy gets more fired up. Fired up. He's passionate about what he does.
We're past suicide awareness. We're into suicide action. If we just keep talking about it, things are going to keep happening. In the 22, that's been a statistic that's on average for a long time. We have to take action. You know what I mean? And when I see people on the side of the street saying, so, you know, I don't care what you're doing. Say hi to somebody, call somebody, reach out to a friend, go down your list, text everybody that's on your friends list. Hey, how you doing? Just thinking about you. Whatever it is you can do, because you never know. That one phone call that Kerry made with me, I mean, I'll be honest with you, that one, he probably a bunch of phone calls because he knew how hard-headed I was. But it made me go to this thing that all of a sudden got me fired up and realized, I mean, my Drocken probably didn't care about it because I literally came back from that event that week and dropped my paperwork that Monday because the people there said, Greg, you need to be doing this. You know where your heart's at. You know where your passion's at. This is what you should be doing. Mm-hmm. And here I am almost a year later, I'm going to go back as a mentor. What's there not to be fired up about? You know what I mean? We're doing good stuff. You know, folks are joining, oh man. And people like Melody, she's commenting there a minute. I mean, she's like this. I mean, she should be she's an ambassador, whether she wants to be or not, because Melody connects me to all these awesome people. And I always tell her, I'm like, man, I love you because we met, we started talking, and all of a sudden I'm talking to these people. I'm like, who? And I look up, I'm like, oh man, this is pretty cool, you know? And so she's connecting me with so many awesome people. And so I just trust her and I love her to death. And Melody, you're on here. I'm just going to tell you, man, we're connected forever, whether you like it or not. So it's been awesome. I love it. I love what she does. And I want to give her props, as we'll call it. She's just, man, she's been crushing it for us. And it's what got us here. It's what got me here with you. She said, right. You know, I want you guys to talk. And I'm so thankful for her. You have no idea.
Yeah. And I like something that you said at the beginning. You know, everything led you to this moment, you know, us connecting and everything like that. So if you think about it, even when you think, you know, life is just sucks at the moment, that's just a temporary thing. Don't give up, guys. Don't give up, because you have no idea where that moment is going to lead you to, you know? And if I would have gave up those years ago when, you know, I wanted to drive my car into the tree instead of living, you know, this show wouldn't have existed and I would have never met Greg.
Yeah. And you know, I'm glad you didn't, because, you know, people make some statements sometimes, and I probably am guilty of making them, as I would say that's selfish. That's all these kind of things. And you can probably rationalize all that. Maybe you've said it. Again, this is just me speaking and telling you how I feel. Is at the moment when I was there and I was ready to end it, it didn't feel selfish to me at that time. It felt like it was empowering. It felt like it was one way that I could take care of my family that I wasn't currently doing. I realize now, thank goodness I didn't. But you know what? God knew what he was doing, because God gave me a story to be able to share with people and to connect with folks that I otherwise wouldn't understand. You know, you and I can understand folks that have been in that place because we're there. If you haven't been there, I think you can't truly understand it. Because I probably made many dumb comments that I will say they were stupid. But once I was there and I would hear what people said, you know, that all the things that you hear, all the standard answers, you know what, maybe in true reality, maybe they're all true. But the person that's in that moment, I just want those folks to be able to feel comfortable enough to know that I don't say those things, and they're willing to pick up the phone and call me, because they're not going to get judged. They're just going to get loved, and we're going to love through the whole thing, and we're going to walk through it, and we're going to figure it out. That's all I want. I want people not to think I'm going to judge them. I want them to feel comfortable enough to say, Greg, you know what? I'm having a tough time. And I said, well, let's talk about it. And then it humbles me every time that someone is willing to have the conversation with me. That's an honor. The fact that someone's willing to open their soul and trust me to help them get to where they want to be, that's an honor. And I don't know. I'm getting emotional again. Here I go. Uh, but I don't, but that's me now. You know what I mean? Before I'd have been like this. I'd have been a robot. But
Yeah.
my kids and my wife say that, they tell me that when they did the brain surgery, they hit the compassion bone in my head or something. Because before I was straight laced. I didn't show much emotion. I had this mask on all the time. That's not me now.
Yeah.
I am who I am. I love people, and I just want us to be able to do what we can, and I want us to do it together. I want us to succeed together,
Mhm.
not me versus you.
Right. And the fact that you keep saying, I'm, you get emotional, but to me, that is this is something to get emotional about. Somebody wanting to end their life is emotional,
Yeah.
and and I've heard it before. Like I shared with you, my uncle took his life Christmas Day 24 years ago. I have had people after that say, "Well, that's the most selfish damn thing he could have done." You have no idea what led him to that moment.
Right.
Yes, he had mental health issues, and yes, there were certain things in his life that didn't go his way that day, and there was certain promises that were made to my understanding that didn't happen that day, and that's why it was like the final straw.
Hmm.
I can't live another moment in these circumstances, and he ended up taking his life.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're having this show is because people like Greg and I that have experienced those feelings where we thought that life probably would have been a hell of a lot better without us here, but we decided that we were going to rise above that no matter how we did it. It doesn't matter the fact that we did do it and that we seeked and got the help that we needed in order to be here today to talk to you about this. So it is an emotional thing. It's one of those things that like, if I think back about it, the many times that I thought, oh shit, life would have been a hell of a lot better without me here.
Mhm.
But then look at all the people that are connected to the show that would not have had that opportunity. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not selfish of them. They just, in that moment that they decide that they're actually going to do it, they have no other way out. They can't see another way out. They didn't reach out for help. They didn't know about the programs like Greg's program, the Camaraderie mission. They didn't know about other programs that are out there that people are just willing and wanting to for you to pick up. Either give them a text, make the phone call, do something, reach out in any way that you possibly can. Just know that nothing in this lifetime that you did that has done up to this moment is bad enough that you have to end it. There is always another option.
Yeah. And I think the whole thing about it is I refuse to ask for help. Like I said, it took me 28 years. And when I finally did reach out for help, there's Janet right there. Janet's on. Hey, Janet.
Mhm.
So she had me all fired up. You know, but the thing is, I didn't want anybody to know. And what I was going to get to is, when my whole life I'd been this kind of character, where I was stone cold. I would sit at the end of the table. I would kind of take notes and whatever, and then I would give my whatever I needed to say, at the end or whatever. But it took me those 28 years to reach out. And the thing that happened is when I had that brain surgery, and I came home and I was going through my healing. Well, I was in a position, I think at the time I was over 750 people. I was the senior enlisted advisor, and my family responded in the same way they thought they would want me to, is they took on my persona. And because I had never reached out for help when they went through stuff and they needed help because we were both in a situation, I was getting angry. I didn't normally do that. A lot of things had changed, but they didn't want anybody knowing. They didn't know how much we were struggling because they didn't want anybody to think anything less of the chief. They didn't
Mhm.
want me going back and people thinking I was damaged goods. They were protecting me.
Yeah.
But they needed to be able to reach out. And if I would have been doing this beforehand and that would have went on, I firmly believe that they would have reached out for help because they would have seen that to me that was okay. And I don't have a problem with people knowing I was struggling
Mhm.
because we all struggle sometimes. And so I set my family in a situation. It took me almost a year being out of the military to realize that I set my family into a really bad situation because I chose to keep everything inside And their way, what they saw me do was kind of like, all right, nothing bothers Greg, nothing bothers Dad. He just whatever. Um, but I set them up for failure because I chose to not reach out for help. And I love them so much, and I didn't even realize what was going on because there's a year that I had that surgery between my daughter's junior and senior year, and I did it so that I could be around and I would make sure everything was done. I wouldn't have to take all the time off going into her senior year. I did it in May, right? And I don't remember her senior year, not most of it. I don't remember my last year in the military, not most of it. I remember bits and pieces. But during that time, it was over. It was May when I had the surgery. July of next year, we were down in Disney World with very good friends of ours who've been friends for a long time, lifelong friend for me in the military. The guy was, and so I had a really bad day at a park where my daughter. I literally couldn't look up. I was sick, and my daughter had to drive me out of the park. And they were there, and they know us, and we're super close friends. And they were like, "Wow." And it was a relief to my family because in over a year's time frame, almost 14 months, people got a peek into what they had been dealing with because me, I was just high on the drugs the docs were giving me, and they were helping me. And I was trying to take medication. I was doing everything I was being told, but they weren't getting the help they needed. And I really went into myself because I wanted so badly to get healthy for them that I forgot about them. And it took me a while to realize that. And it hurt and it bothers me now to this day. And I can't make it up, but I can sure try to get better and I can sure try to do it. But that's something I want folks out here to understand is, you set the tone, or at least I do in my family, whoever sets that tone, and people are watching you. And if you reach out for help, they will, which is why I share my story. I don't like sharing it. I hate sharing it, to be quite honest with you, because it's very personal.
Mhm.
But I think when you share something like that, like you said earlier, it gives people that little bit of a crack into what you're dealing with and thinking I think maybe they'll reach out. I went out and spoke at Dyess Air Force Base with the Air Force Wounded Warrior Program. And I think we spoke to about 1,000 people over 3 days. And in that time frame, we had about, I think it was 37 people that came forward and said they needed some assistance. And so for me, man, that was, I mean, huge. Who knows how many of those 37 would have been one of the 22?
Mhm.
But it wasn't me. It was the fact that Air Force Wounded Warrior Program gave me the opportunity to just tell my story. That's all they really did. And then luckily I was willing to say yes, and I went and did it. And there's a bunch of us out here that do it. And it's a great Air Force Wounded Warrior. They do amazing things. And I just try to give back with them as much as I can. And they are obviously, I talk about them because they've had a big influence and a big effect on my life.
Right. I just want to stop for 1 second here. For those of you that are watching and that will be watching the replay later, um, what are some of the signs that people? I mean, withdrawing is one of them, obviously, but what are some of the signs that we can tell our viewers to look out for when somebody's actually struggling?
Yes.
What would you say some of the signs are?
Well, there's a ton of signs out there, and I think the big part is to engage. If you see somebody acting different, there's a bunch of different signs. But most of us have kind of a routine. Like I get up in the morning, you have your coffee, you have this, you come to work, you check in, you sit at your computer, whatever. You have a certain routine. When people's routines are a little bit off, or they seem to be a little bit off, there is no magic formula, but you can just notice their behavior. And I think that's where, us as a society sometimes maybe don't get as connected as we used to. And sometimes we really connect, like what you and I did really quick, and, some of the organizations. But I think when you really look at someone and you look and say, man, instead of making fun of them or going back and saying, man, they should have never said that or whatever, maybe it's worth the time to walk over and say, man, how's it going? You doing okay? And I did this thing the other day, or it's been a couple months ago. I was in front of a bunch of first sergeants at one of the bases. They were having a symposium, and I was kind of demonstrating. I walked up and I said, "Hey, man, this one guy." I said, "You mind if I use you?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I'm fine." "Oh, you're fine. Are you sure? Are you okay, man?" "Yeah, I'm fine." And I went, "Are you okay?" You know. And then I obviously stood up, and sorry that in TV land, but I stood up and I said, "Don't do that. Right? That's not the way to get it through." But that's really inside. You got to realize how you can get through to them in that term to make them flinch,
Mm-hmm.
not by screaming at them, but you got to realize inside your head, that's where you should be at when things. Now, some people may, hey, I'm good, and you know it, but when you know their personality and you know who they are, and you take time to get to know them, or if you just see somebody that looks like, man, something ain't quite right, let's quit making fun of each other. Let's go out and say, you know what? Let me go see if I can help that person. Let me just love them. Let me just see what I can do. And that's what I tell people to look for something different something different about them. Maybe they don't answer your phone calls like they used to. Maybe they don't, post as many times on Facebook. Maybe they don't hit like, the 40,000 times, but never say any words when they used to say a bunch. There's all these signs, and gut instinct goes a long way.
Yeah.
And when you think it, like my dad, mom used to always tell me, if you think it might be wrong, it probably is, or you wouldn't even be thinking about it. So if you're working with somebody and you see somebody and you think something's a little off, it probably is. Maybe they don't want to talk to you, but you got to set the tone. And I wasn't always good at this in my career, and I'm open and honest about it. It's like, hey, we're going on this deployment. Well, my wife's got this. Well, okay, we'll take care of it, and then let's go. And the saying was always, mission or mission first, people always. And I come back and I say, well, I challenge that, because I think it should be people first, people always, and the mission takes care of itself. You take care of those two things.
Right.
So I think that's what you have to do. You have to get to know people. You have to watch them, and when things seem a little off, just assume that it is, and maybe it isn't. But just that quick, hey man, you doing okay? I hear stories all the time of someone just called me, someone just texted me, someone just walked by and smiled at me, and I decided, you know what? At least one person smiled at me today. I'm not going to go and take my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it takes, is engagement and action. We're past awareness. We're at action. We're at engagement. Awareness is over. We need to get engaged. And if you don't want to get engaged, call me. I'll get engaged for you. My team will get engaged for you. I'll call somebody that can get engaged close to where you're at. We just have to get engaged. Awareness, we're through that. We're at action. Action.
I know for me, when everybody say, "Hey, you're right," I'm like, "Yeah, I'm great. Like I can hide it. I can hide it real good." But then it comes down to a point now where if I'm having a bad day, I will reach out. There's a select group of people that I trust.
Mm-hmm.
With anything, that are not going to judge me.
Right.
And if I'm having that bad day, I'll just reach out to one of them. And I don't stop until, because I'm a verbal processor.
Yeah.
So I say it once it's out there, I'm good. But
Yeah.
I know I'm not the majority out there. And I'm actually listening to a book called Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. And I didn't realize I realize guys go through emotions just like women do. But I didn't realize the how society has actually put being a man's man,
Mm-hmm.
like, and having the pressures that you men have as well. Like women have pressure, we have to be thin, we have to be this, we have to work, we have to be at home with our family, all these other expectations that are on top of us. But I didn't realize until listening to her book on how you guys feel about that as well. Having to be the provider, having to or I guess in this day and age, you guys don't have to be the provider anymore, because women are out there
Yeah.
just hustling like you guys
Yeah.
are.
I'm here to
But
talk to you. My wife just got in from work, so here we are. You just proved that right now, right? I'll admit it. I love her. She takes care of me now. She's put a post out one day that said, don't be one of those people that doesn't believe that when your husband says, "I'll work the first 30, you work the second 30." And then she took a picture of me as she's leaving for work one morning. So I thought it was pretty funny, but I'm like, there we go.
okay,
Just be me.
but you
Yeah.
put your 29 years into the Air Force, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's, I think, as women, like, okay, so I can be the biggest smartass, and I married the biggest smartass. So two smartasses in the house sometimes aren't always good, because even though we're joking, depending on how either one of us are that day, if we're slightly off, we could
Right.
potentially take it wrong, right?
Yeah.
And then we have no idea, but then
Mhm.
the other one is really upset and just like, I can't believe you said that. But yet we could have said that any other given day and it would have been fine. But
Yeah.
in the moment, in the
Right.
headspace that we were in,
Yeah.
so I think just being aware of that, like
Mhm.
I'm very conscious now of, what mood is he in, or what mood am I in?
Yeah.
Don't, because he has a tendency to tease me like crazy, and majority of the time I can take it. But if I'm in that like something's going on inside my head, forget it. It's just
Yeah.
like, stop.
Well, yeah, and so that's what kind of brought me to horses and some of the things I'm doing nowadays.
Mhm.
Because I went out to visit, Nancy Slater's place there in Lake Wales, and I kind of cold called her and I said, "Hey, it looks like you're doing some really cool stuff, and I want to learn more about this." I'm from Kentucky, but I know, which end eats, which one poops, and which one to, that's kind of like throw the saddle on the back. That's about what I know about horses. But I said, man, this equine therapy thing is really something, or equine interaction. And I went out there, and the first day I go out there, like I'm literally like looking. I felt like this horse was looking into my soul, you know. And then Nancy said something that made total sense to me, which I don't do at all. And she said, you know, a horse cares about the next 3 seconds. It's a prey. It's an animal of prey. You know, it's meat on feet. As hard as that is to sound, but they really, you know, that's a horse. And so they're always looking around. And they have to trust you. And like you were saying earlier, and like what I did, I could always fake that. I could always, you know, the Air Force, I tell them, the military taught me really well how to recognize those signs, but they also taught me very well how to hide them because they taught me what everybody else was looking for. So I was able to do that very well. You know, I was well trained on both sides. And when I went out there and we were talking about the horses, you know, and I met the horses, I saw a guy. You talk about that bravado that men, you know, they got to carry. And I watched this guy walk into the ring with a horse. One of the events we had a couple weekend Heroes and Horses weekend out there, and this guy came in and he was, you know, he was like, bring it, looked like Iron Man out there in the middle, right? And to bring it all together, he actually had a mini pony or a mini horse out there, a little small one, right? And so he's trying to be tough guy, and the horse is like, I'm not paying attention to you. I don't really care what you have to say, right? But and I saw this guy in over a 30-minute period. He melted. He went from being a guy that looked like he was Iron Man to a guy that was really in tune with the horse. And I'm going to tell you, I felt like one of those sports parents when the horse finally turned and came to him. Again, this is natural horsemanship. There's no hitting, smacking, forcing. They'd come to you because they got to the point they trusted him. And when the horse came to him and touched him, I started crying. I mean, I didn't cry right out, but I mean, I got very emotional. But I felt like a parent because I'm like, now every time the horse would turn and it wouldn't take those extra steps, I'd be, come on, go, like just go for me, not just go, you know. And finally, when it did, I felt like a proud parent. And I looked at it and I said, man. And then the guy comes out where the horse was at, and once it all happens, like, okay, it's come out. And he walks out and he said, you know, I've been going through some stuff for the last 5 years. I've been talking to some counselors and therapists and stuff. But what happened in there the last 30 minutes, I could see it on him. I don't have to be a horse expert. I don't have to be a therapist, a clinician, any of that stuff. I saw it. I saw him melt in the middle of the ring with the horse. And I saw his demeanor, and he walks out and said, that did more for me in 30 minutes than it's happened in the last 5 years. This guy and I've been, you know, we've been friends. He's now our secretary for Camaraderie Rescue Mission for the board. And I saw him totally change in a matter of 30 minutes, and he just melted. And when he came out and he verified that, when he said, this did more for me in 30 minutes than what had happened in the last 5 years, I'm like, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what we're going to be doing. And all the other stuff that Camaraderie Rescue Mission is trying to do, we're going to find folks that want to do that part, and we're going to come together as a group, and we're going to make it work because we are going to be better. We're going to succeed as friends. We're going to succeed as a team. And we're going to do what our specialty is. You do what yours is. And through all of this, we're just going to keep pushing forward. And I'm going to cook barbecue. I'm going to teach people how to cook barbecue. I'm going to have people work with horses that know more about that. And then we're going to have some fun in the water. So horses, barbecue, and water. What better thing to have? You know what I mean? Like, how great is that? I'm going to take people. We're going to go sailing. We're going to mess with some horses. We're going to have some good food. I mean, what else could you ask for? And then I've got this great team that's just organically building itself because God is working it out for us, and they're going to take care of the other stuff, right? They've already volunteered to come down and come to our event that's the first week of May. I mean, they're volunteering to do this. Like, we're just going to come. And
so, two questions.
Yeah.
Is this just strictly for male vets, or is it women as well?
No, I talked to the guy that we go out on the sailing trips with. I talked to him, and so there's a trip that he's doing in March. The dates aren't 100% solidified yet, but you'll see it on my website, tcrmi.org. But it'll be out there, and it'll show the events page. We're trying to set up a sailing trip for up to 10 female veterans to go out from Key West to Dry Tortugas. It's a 7-day trip. You arrive on day one, go out, you're out for 7 days away from land, a lot of times away from cell phone service. It's awesome. No cell phone service. No.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I just held my phone and took pictures because it felt weird without a phone in my hand, right? So, but you go out there, and our trip was a little longer, but yeah, they go out and you just enjoy yourself. Like, you go out, you cook, you hang with your friends. And when I went on that trip, I thought, man, what can I do to make this better? You know, I was thinking that going into it. And then I got out there and I'm cruising, the wind's blowing, I'm watching dolphins along the side of the boat. You know, it's out there. And I'm like, what would I want to do to add to this? Like, that's dumb. This is what it's about. Let's get out here and make friends, enjoy ourselves, grow the network so that we can call each other and we get more friends when we left than we had when we came in, and just get to know each other. And so I'm like, the heck with all that other clinical stuff, man. We're just going to sail around. We're going to get to know each other. We're going to get to know each other's family like we did when we were on trips. To me, it was like a mini deployment, a mini TDY, temporary duty assignment, because we really bonded. And it's just, and that, so we're trying to do that with females. We are going to have a family-friendly event in September, and then the one in May. We're trying to figure out if we're going to keep it co-ed, but it is a week long. And so the obvious problems sometimes pop up, but I think we're all grown-ups and we should be able to handle it. But the board, we're all working through that right now. But,
and Chris says he's got to run, but a great conversation. And yes, he is on next week. So have you just, okay, because now I really want to go on one of these missions, but I'm not a veteran. So do I have to join the Canadian Armed Forces for a year and then get out and then join you, or can I join you guys now?
Well, we had a conversation about that today, and you and I'll talk offline, but there are going to be some options that we do for folks that want to go experience that adventure. But because the guys that do this, they do it for they take time off work and they get paid very well. They're captains down in Key West, and they take events out, and what they get paid, we get the trip. It costs about $1,000 per person to send somebody out on one of these trips, right? Mm-hmm. And that is a deal, because normally on the trip that they're going on for that long, it would probably cost $7,000 a head, because they're giving up their own boats, they're giving up their own time, they're going out and hustling to get donations. And one guy's a retired Marine. We have 2 boats. They both hold 5 people, and the other guy's just a patriot that loves to help folks in the military, armed forces. And so, but they give up their time and don't work during those time frames. So, we try to grow, a lot of things, we try to support those, but it's expensive to take them out. So these guys, we have to have a line, but I told him today, I want options, because if people want to go out, let's work. There's a company down there that he works with. And I said, let's see if they'll set up a trip for people that want to come down and experience what these veterans are experiencing, and come down and just see what it's all about, because it's amazing. And so we're going to try to work some deals. We're still in the really early stages of that. But I think if you keep checking the site, you'll get to see maybe, the civilian version of our veterans trip, to where people can truly come out and see this is what's going on. And for that, you're already invited.
You're making me think, Greg, because now I really think that this is a great way for businesses to have that, the building relationships inside. Mm-hmm. So I can see an arm of mm-hmm. your mission here to be civilian, and I'm willing to help you with that. Oh God, that's another thing that I just agreed to.
No, so it's awesome. So and I would love that, and we're looking for support. We're looking to kind of grow this mission, right? And so, I sell coffee and I do other stuff. It helps me to get my gas money to go around. But what we really want to do is to make sure that, because part of ours, like Camaraderie Exchange, Camaraderie Rescue Missions, Veterans and First Responders, Camaraderie Exchange, which is what we're building now with these networks of teams that we're going to go out. It's going to be a corporate, a leadership environment. It's going to be to where we can bring these, because the people that are doing this stuff, we want to have money on those events that go into the veterans, but they do the veteran stuff basically at cost. And so, we do these events at that. And so the other, we want to get, like when they come out to the horse farm, come out to the ranch, Nancy Slater's, we want to bring them out and take a weekend trip, a weekend thing, and say, all right, look, here's what it costs us to put this on. This is kind of what we're doing. And your money that you give will go straight to the next thing for the veterans. And so we can help build the coffers on Camaraderie Rescue Mission. But we also want to get them experience, because I'm going to tell you right now, this is something I think folks should understand. There's 20.7 million veterans right now that are in I call it general population in the United States, right? That's what the stats say. I didn't count everybody, but that's what it says, right? So, but one thing that I realize, I'm out and everybody talks about 22 people that are in my, we know what 22 means. 22 people are dying a day. But as I go around, I've started a straw poll about 2 months ago. I had a bunch of some ladies that actually brought their horse with PTSD for the weekend, brought them in for us. And I was talking about, they asked me, hey, come up and tell them what you do. And so I was telling them I do this. And they said, I said 22 a day. I made that statement or that phrase. And they all went, we don't know what that means. And I was shocked. And so I've started this little straw poll as I'm out and about and I'm talking, or someone, I'm having an opportunity I'll just ask them, hey, let me ask you a quick question. Like, I'll tell you what I do, but let me ask you a question. If I said 22 a day, what does that mean to you? And I will tell you, I've probably polled at least 200 people. And the amount of people that come right out and say 22 a day, and these are people that I kind of know they're not military affiliated or connected and stuff. There's so many people out there. There's probably people that watch this show that don't maybe not truly know what 22 a day is. It's 22 veterans that commit suicide every day. Well, I want 22 people to have reasons to live, which is why we do these events, which is why we bring them out to the horses. We want them to say, man, I want to connect with these groups, and we want to build that clinical cycle and then the coaching and then the nonprofit so we can continue to feed each other. And we build this huge network across the states, heck, around the world. Why stop there, right? Why put borders on it? And get it to where it goes around the world, and we just connect and we love each other. And we get back to the way it should be, and that's taking care of one another, caring about each other, and just living and doing good things. It doesn't cost any money to smile at somebody. It doesn't cost anything to say, hey, hope you had a good day today. Or when you're going through that checkout line, your cashier's maybe less than happy because they worked on an 8-hour shift and had a bunch of jack wagons that came through earlier. To just say, hey, I appreciate it. It looks like things are going pretty well today, or hey, you really bagged my eggs up really good, or whatever it is. Who cares, right? but maybe they don't even want to talk.
Mm-hmm.
But why not just make their day better? Kind of own it.
Right. And this is what I love. I love our veterans. I absolutely adore you guys. And as somebody who my family comes from a background of the Canadian Armed Forces and things like that. And that's why I'm so passionate. Like, I choke up when I see you guys coming home and things like that. It's just like, I'm a sister when it comes to that. So I thank you tremendously for your service. And I definitely want to be definitely part of this. But right now, I just got to cut it to the second half of the show. Yeah. But don't stay tuned, because I want you're here for it all here, because I don't know if you noticed, but we have added a segment to our show called The Fundamentals. And I am going to be bringing Kimberly and Karen on. And Kimberly does this segment, and we're going to wrap at the end. We'll wrap it up and come back to you, Greg, but I'm going to put it over to Kimberly right now.
Well, and you're going to be part of this segment, Greg. So,
man, I thought I was. Oh man, we had so much fun. This is going to be a good time. I can feel it. So I'll sit over here and try to be quiet. But man, we were having such a good time before we came on. It was awesome. I loved it. It was so much fun. So I'm going to sit back. I'm going to take a couple deep breaths. And then you guys do your thing. All right. See, I listened. You didn't think I was listening.
Take a drink of something.
Take a drink.
You got it. All right, good. Sure.
So, hello, everyone.
Awesome. Check it out.
Welcome to the fundamentals of the show. And for those of you who don't know, we spell fundamentals, capital F-U-N, little D-U-H, capital M-E-N-T-A-L-S. The fundamentals. I'm letting Greg do that.
I'll have to type that out. I'm trying to go through all those letters. I'm like, I think there's some extra ones in there, but I'm just not sure. I said I was going to be quiet, so I'm back out.
You're doing great. Because you got to get it right to get to play the game, right?
Yeah, I'm there.
So this part of the show is literally it was birthed inside of, because of our commitment, that people really got the power to be an unstoppable overcomer, right? Sometimes and this show was perfect example of it. There's dark places that we are sent to overcome, so that we can then bring light to the others, which clearly, Greg, you are doing that, and we commend you. And that's what this show is all about, right? And our intention is, inside this segment, the last part of the show, is to leave people, especially if we've gone to some dark places with them, and that we don't leave them, right?
Absolutely.
Alone when we leave the show, right? That they're left with a breath of air, right? That we've breathed life into them.
Right.
So that everyone, I'm on location with Karen Ziska. Karen is with Home Bridge Mortgage, and she is one of my personal close strategic partners who, in the world of becoming a serial entrepreneur, has been my light and guided me to my successes. And I'm just so tickled that I get to, be with her today and tonight and bring her into this segment of the show. So Karen, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for that intro.
Hey, I only speak the truth. So, so Karen is Karen. Why don't you tell them a little bit about what you do? So, if for anybody who wants to reach out to you post the show or during the show, they can.
So what I do for a living is I'm actually a mortgage loan officer with Homebridge Financial. And I help people on a daily basis change their lives, create ongoing generational wealth, and have a legacy that they can pass on, and help people to kind of reorganize what they have, help with, if somebody's struggling with credit, help them to understand the ins and outs of credit and how to fix it, because a lot of people feel like they're at the end of their rope and there's not anywhere to go when it comes to finances. They're confused and lost, and really laying out the groundwork of what can be done and pretty much how easy it is to lay that path out and create a platform for them to have home ownership.
Beautiful. It's so perfect and so fun, right?
Yeah,
the
it
fun
is.
part of the show is one of the things we've been noticing since we've had this segment. So I intentionally at this point, right? We even surprised Dorothy. Like Dorothy doesn't even know where I'm going to be. Like it's a big secret, right? And what we've been noticing is how much the main guest and who I'm on location with are identical. And the thing that's so cool that Greg and Karen both have is like an unsatiable heart to bridge people from where they're serious. Like it's like
yeah, there you go. That's good, Dorothy.
Yeah, I'm so freaking clear of that, right? Like it's so fun.
That.
You guys could be uninsatiable hearts, brother and sisters. So here we go into the fundamentals. So how this rolls, Greg, and because I don't know if Dorothy prepped you or not, so I'm going to let you know what I'm going to ask, right?
You were part of our prep. You know what went on before. We didn't prep nothing.
Well, no, so perfect. Yeah, that tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah,
so I'm going to let Karen go first and share, and then while she's sharing, you could be, coming up with what yours is. Okay. So Karen. In the world, right? And for everyone out there who's going to get to hear this, if you could only tell people 3 key fundamentals that they can walk away with tonight, and they could literally be like, forget everything else, focus on these 3 things, and your life will be magical. What would those 3 things be? What would you want to leave the world to know if you were to die tomorrow?
Well, the 3 things that I have that when Kimberly brought this to me and said, what would you do? It was based on kind of where I was at a point in my life when I thought I'm going to end up homeless with nothing. I was divorced. I had 2 small kids. I was young. I didn't have the ability to go to college and thought, what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to support these kids? How am I going to support myself? And how am I going to turn my life into something that my children can be proud of me for? So that's kind of the baseline of the 3 things that I found that were key. The first one is when you look at what you're doing, whether it's a career, whether it's a hobby, whether it's being entrepreneurial and starting out, is don't quit before you get to the finish line. So many of us will start something, we don't see it come to fruition, and we stop because we don't see the result fast enough. But one thing I've learned over the years is to really focus on the task at hand, not the end result, because what matters is the task and the daily event that you're doing to accomplish that goal to get you to that finish line. And that's the first thing, is just focus on that activity that you did, because that's going to turn into your result eventually.
Beautiful. And number 2?
Number 2 would be, don't tell yourself that you can't do it. When an opportunity appears in front of you, it appeared for some reason. There is some force that drove you to be there, and don't look at it and automatically discount and say, no, I'm not doing it. Look at why should you do it? And how can you take that step to get to that next level?
Nice. And number 3?
Number 3 would be embrace your community. Every one of us needs a helping hand at some point. Who do you know? Who's that network? When we look at our business and our personal lives, we've created a map or a goal of what you want to do today, tomorrow, next month, next year. People say, oh, I'm going to do this for New Year's resolution. But when it comes down to it, what is your life goal? And how do you get there? And look at your network. The people there that talk to you on a daily basis, or the stranger that says hello, embrace them, say hello, because you never know who's there that can help you and that you can help them. So embracing your network is key. Because without my network, I wouldn't be here without you, Kimberly.
And here we are, right? And everything Greg was pointing to tonight. If it wasn't for those people that he was able to reach out and talk to, he wouldn't be here tonight. Exactly. Right? Beautiful. All right, Greg.
So,
what are your 3?
Well, I wasn't prepped, so I'm just going to wing it. Which
perfect.
So with what is you got to love yourself. And so when it comes right down to it, you have to start with you, because if you're not ready to go and give of yourself the way that you could, then you're kind of not giving that full part to the people that you're working with. And for me, I had to get healthy. I had to get better. I had to go out and say, I had to humble myself and say, you know what, I need somebody to help me. I had to humble myself and say, I don't have all the answers. And once I was able to do that, then things started happening. And I was able to reach out and help the folks that I was really, Camaraderie Rescue Mission, our key task. That's when it started forming, and said, you know what, it's something that I'm getting help. I'm finally asking. I'm not afraid to share it. I'm not afraid to say it. And if it helps somebody, then that's what I should be doing. But you have to take care of yourself. You just do. And that starts either just with a simple thing of being mindful of what you're doing, or, getting the help or therapy or whatever, or reaching out to someone or having someone reach out to you. It's just take care of yourself.
Love yourself. That's beautiful. Number 2?
Number 2, I think you got to love something greater than yourself. You got to love God. I love God. God plays a big role, and I'm not sitting right here today if it's not with that, because or a higher power or someone that, you really have that faith in. Faith is about what you believe in gets you to where you want to be. And so not everybody has the same faith. There's different religions, but I believe in God. I'm a Christian. Beautiful. And I believe that God led me to where I'm at right now. I believe that God is the one. When I told everybody I was walking away from the job in February, I called my cousin and I said, hey, I'm going to resign. And he was like, what? You're going to what? I said, yeah, I'm just going to go do this nonprofit thing. He's like, have you done that before? I'm like, no, I'll figure it out. And luckily I was smart enough to realize I wasn't smart enough to do it by myself. So I just went out and grabbed a bunch of really smart people and said, hey, make me look good. So it was kind of like what I did in the military, except in the civilian sector. So, but I think
I was going to say that is something that is so beautiful about military people is exactly, it's like, I don't care if I don't know how to do it. I'm doing it. That's what's going to happen.
And I'm learning, and this has been a great year, but you have to love something greater than yourself. It's not like that. I don't want to stand up and make everybody have to stand up, put their hand over their heart and do that kind of stuff. It's not that kind of a deal, but you do have to love something greater than yourself. And God has driven me. God has shown me where I need to go. And this was blind faith. I've never done that before in my life, and I've never been so sure about something ever.
Beautiful. Would that be number 3, Greg? Blind faith?
What's that?
Would that be number 3, Greg? Blind faith?
I think that was number 2. I think that all rolled into one. So you're trying to cut me short.
First, no. I was listening. I
feel like your other guests talked to my board and said, look, these are things you have to say to Greg. We have to tell him that everything he starts in a very short time frame. So that so my number three is love life. Love life.
Love yourself. Love something greater than yourself, and love your life.
Yeah, love life, period. Love life, period. Because you have to be in love with what you're doing, and that encompasses a large place, right? So it's a lot of love there, right?
It's nothing but love. Number 1, love. Number 2, love. Number 3, love.
And I wouldn't. So, but I think just love in life, and you got to be able to reach out and connect with folks, connect, support, and sustain. That's our 3. That's our 3 pillars. And I'm going to add number 4 that everybody should do. And this is a goal that everybody should be. It's go to tcrmi.org and check out what we're doing, and then see all the things that are happening and keep checking back there regularly and to see what's going on. That's my organization. And I'm telling you, I'm still feeling like y'all talk to my board, because there's been some things that have been said tonight that I know they said, hey, just go ahead and zip that in there. Go ahead and just pound it on the head, because we can't, you got him on live TV, so he can't get upset, or he can't, just do it. And y'all did a great job. So my board thanks you. I appreciate that. So there we go.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
Wow, that was quite the fundamental section. and Greg, I did prep you because it was on your sheet.
Oh, was it?
It was, you said connect, support, and sustain, and we got love.
It was connect, support, and sustain. So, because that's our 3 pillars, right? So now I said what I said, and now you just basically repeated it. So now it's going to stick. If the other 2 of you could repeat it, connect, support, and sustain. TV land, Zoom land, StreamYard land out there would know that connect, support, sustain out of tcrmi.org, Camaraderie Rescue Mission that's doing great things and needs your support and just wants to love on people. You know, if you guys said that stuff, you know, tcrmi.org. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to say it again.
So how can we help you, Greg? What is it? What are the top 3 things that you need us to help you with at the Camaraderie Rescue Mission? What are the 3 things?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we really need is we just need to spread the word that we're available and we're out there, right? And we're willing to travel to folks if we can set up that event, because we'll travel to folks via virtually. So we do the trauma resiliency and the PTSD where we work with folks. We can do that online. So a lot of things that we can do online that provides that service, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, something that, you know, we work with folks that have emotional management issues, you know, not issues, people that just really need to kind of work through some things, right? Like I did, I went through it. And so that's one thing. I think the second thing that you could help us out with is, you know, as you're talking and going throughout your day, you know, look around and see what's needed in your area of responsibility, in your lives, and send that to me and say, look, I see veterans struggling here, because not always when I connect with them or we connect with them as a group, folks may not open up, but when you're in your daily lives and you overhear stuff like, hey, this seems to be a problem here in this area. Like people are really struggling financially, like in Western Kentucky, the folks had their tornado hit, like they're struggling out there. So how can we come together and stay within our mission set, or maybe even connect with somebody else's mission set and say, look, these people are struggling there. So we figure out a way to connect. And so if you can help us do that. And then the third thing is, you know, a lot of this stuff, and this is a thing I hate talking about. I'm not very good at it because I like giving stuff away. But, you know, there's always a financial aspect, because you can't help people unless you have the resources to do it. And it killed. I mean, it hurts, because my board says, Greg, we bought this stuff to sell. And I'm like, I know, but giving it away is so much fun. But you know, there's a financial aspect of it. When we send a person out on a sailing trip, again, it's about $1,000 a person. And that's a trip of a lifetime. We're starting to call those. When we send somebody, we do an equine event, you know, it's about $250 per person to come out to those. And we try to bring in a minimum of 15. So we do 3 sessions with 5 and let them have time with the horses. And then we do all that stuff. And then there's these camaraderie kits that we give away to folks when they show up to our events, along with a yoga mat, these other events. The yoga mat and that set's about $70. And so you can always sponsor one of those. And then the kits that we give out, which has a backpack, a sticker, a couple wristbands, some just swag for them to take away. It ends up being about $25 to $30 for those, depending on the prices. And then the one big thing that we're looking to do right now is we want when folks to come, they know can in the military. You guys familiar with giving someone a coin? Like when you coin someone in the military, that's an ultimate sign of respect, appreciation. You did something awesome, right? And so we've got these coins developed, and they look like dog tags, but they're really nice. And so we're trying to bring those about, and we're trying to get those when people in and go through our mission set, that they literally walk away with something physical. Like they're going to walk away with a pen and some other things. But these are going to be presented to them, because we want them to remember it. Because when you do action and you give them something, we want it to be like the Olympic and they just won the gold medal. Because every time they come through, I kind of feel like, you know, I'm the one. I feel like sometimes I get more out of it than they do, because I just love what I'm doing. But we want to be able to, you know, hand folks and give them some swag. But financially is always a thing, as much as that's why it's number 3. It should be number 1 probably, but it's not, because ultimately I just want to see everybody succeed, and I want the group that's helping us to succeed together. I want all of us. I want, when Dorothy Ann and I talk later, you know, I want to see all this stuff come together. I just want us to help people. And at the end of the day, if there's no money that comes in, I'm still going to do what I'm doing. Heck, I've been doing it for a year. Why stop now, right? But it's not about it. I don't want to be like this woe is me thing, because I love what I'm doing. I'm a better person for it. But that's the three things. Financially is the one that allows us to do the first two.
So because it is a nonprofit, if we can get corporate sponsorships,
Yeah,
that is a tax deduction, right, people?
that's right. Yeah, absolutely is.
Okay, so you not only are you helping our veterans, you need a tax break at the end of the year, people. So let's start the year off right, and let's see if we could at, at least sponsor 1 to 2 people on this voting trip.
Awesome.
So let's see if we can get a couple corporate sponsors to help Greg with this. The website is in the show notes. We will make sure it's in the comments again, and that is tcrmi.com. So
.org.
let's .org. Oh, I'm sorry, .org. These
I don't know where
contacts need to get out. These need.
I don't know where tcrmi.com goes, so I don't want
.org. Nope, sorry, my bad. I need to get these contacts out. So let's see if we can rally around and get a couple corporate sponsors for Comrade Rescue Mission, and see if we can get 2 women out on that boat. And it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And you're helping veterans that have helped, that have served their country and that have made this country great. So let's see if we can at least get 2 corporate sponsors or more to do this. If when you are sponsoring, you don't have to, but it would be nice if in the comments you said that you heard about it here from Unstoppable Overcomers, so that we can kind of somehow track it to make sure that we're doing what we're set out to do. And get your swag. I'm going to be going on the website sometime this week and getting my swag.
Well, we got some coming up. So yeah, I'll tell you what, I wish I had it up, but I just went to a new platform. And so we have right now I have a case that I just built, but we're building all new shirts, getting everything out there. So look for that to come very soon. Now that you just said that, it's going to be really soon. So I appreciate that. No pressure. I love it. I love the support, but it's also it's good. So you have been talking to my board. I know it. So, but
what do you mean? We are your board.
I was going to say, I'm the next board member.
Yeah, I love
it.
But even if people donate individually, every dime adds up. It really does, because when we do the horse thing, it's $250. So even if people donate individually, it still all comes together. The corporate sponsorship is awesome. Hopefully we got some stuff coming in. But honestly, at the end of the day, we love every penny, because there are some administrative stuff. I'm not going to tell you every single dime we take in, because there's stuff that we have to pay for. We have to pay for food. Food goes to veterans, though. I have to pay to get my gas to go certain places. I mostly use my coffee business, CamaraderieCoffeeClub.com, for my coffee, right, to get that out there. And that helps pay that, because I don't want to take anything out of there. I do my best to live off, to get to events based on what I make, what I bring in, and then what Camaraderie Coffee Club makes. But yeah, I appreciate everything. And I'll open my books. Anybody that wants to see them, you know what I mean? We're open, we're transparent. But I want everybody to be able to reach out to us and get the services and the help that they need. And if we can't do it, we're going to find somebody who can.
So every business owner out there, if you could at least make a $50 donation, 2 or more, or even see if you can get your employees to match. We need to raise $2,000, because 2 women going is $2,000. So we need to raise $2,000. When's the trip?
So we're looking toward the end of March. That's when the next one. They're tentatively planning. I think it's middle of March. I think it's the week of the 14th. I think. All right. That's when we're trying to send them out.
So we want to raise $2,000 by March 1st to make sure that these women go out on this trip. And so if you could help us with that, it is a tax write-off for you, for your business. So please go out right now, www.tcrmi.org.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, I love it.
Click on the donate button. In the comments, put, saw you on the Unstoppable Overcomer show. We want to help send 2 women out there. Let's do this. And I have a feeling that we'll have this done before Valentine's Day. But But
no, I think that's awesome. And if anybody, the corporate folks, like I said, all veterans are open to it. We just have to, we're going to vet them. My board said I have to vet everybody. So it runs through them. They look at it, make sure you have their DD-214, everything is there. And then we always end up, if we, in case we get so many and we have like 1,000 that want to go, obviously we have to make a process where we have to rack and stack. And so that's why we're doing the vetting, because as we're growing, more folks will learn about the cool things that we're doing and the organizations that we're working with, because it's Ghost Ship, SV Ghost Ship out of Key West is who we're working with that helps us put this together. And like I said, they just came back on a trip this past weekend. They took out 10 folks on 2 boats. So they just got back. We probably if you look up SV Ghost Ship out of Key West, you can probably see some video of what these people would experience. So
Awesome.
cool. Awesome. So instead of getting your Valentine flowers, men, go to www.tcrmi.org and make a donation in your wife's name to Comrade Rescue Mission and get these women on the trip of a lifetime that they deserve.
Yeah, and if you have people that like coffee, then you can go to CamaraderieCoffeeClub.com and you can buy coffee, because we sell pods, we sell bag, we sell beans, we sell ground, we sell K-cups, we sell, you need it, look at it, check it out, send them some coffee. Everybody loves coffee, right? I know I do.
Everybody loves Greg. And everybody loves Greg. I swear, this man is something else. So with that, I know we're over time here, so we're just going to wrap this up, and we want to thank you to our guests tonight for showing up and being in the comments, and just super excited for what Greg and his Comrade Rescue Mission have going on there. Can't wait to be part of the team, and I think Kimberly and I should be the next board members, but we'll talk later. And let's get...
I'm equine therapy certified, so
yeah.
Just saying.
Hey, before we get off, I love you guys. This has been so much fun. I mean, it really has, all the way from before we started to now. And, you kind of putting that out there for us, because it makes it easy on me, and I don't get yelled at by the board saying, hey, you spoke all night, you talked about all these organizations, and you never talked about us, or you never said we need some help. But that's kind of where I'm at. So I love you guys. I appreciate what you're doing. And man, it's I can't wait to show you the pictures of the folks that you're going to send out on it, because you're going to be amazed.
Well, yes. So after the show, after that trip, yes, send us the pictures, and I'm going to post them up on all our social media sites, and we will get you more traction and more veterans help.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this. I talked to him today, and I said, what would it take? I said, what would it take to have you do this every month? And he said, if we could get it set up to where we get 10 people every month, we could do it every month, and I would quit my job. So that's how much this guy's done. And again, we're talking about $1,000. That's at cost. Of course, we take care of some of his the gas and stuff like that. But he lives on the sailboat out in the harbor out in Key West. So he's living the life. You know what I mean? But he said, Greg, if you can figure out how to do that, I will figure out how to do it on my end, and we will do trips every month. And so that's not a promise. That's a commitment that he made. I know he'll do it if we can do it. So I would love to be able to take people around at least once a quarter, and 2 boats, 10 people, $10,000 to do it once a quarter, $40,000 a year. Man, my math skills are on point tonight. Right? That was pretty simple math, but that's good for me.
How about once a month?
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That we would love to be able to do that. We would love to. Absolutely love to.
Greg, I'm game to reach out to corporate investors that I know to see how I can help get support for you and for your mission.
Awesome.
So
she knows a lot.
If anybody's watching at my lender, Karen, we'll definitely be able to get some traction for you.
Awesome. I love it. See, we are like that. We are like that. See,
Karen,
I knew it. Awesome.
How can people reach you?
For me, anyone can reach me by searching my lender, Karen. I will come up, and my phone number is posted on all social media. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Google.
Okay, so Facebook and Instagram. Okay, I'm gonna friend you on Facebook later.
Okay.
And we're gonna make your name famous too, and that way, by making her famous, we make everybody famous, and all those corporate people can start, know.
And if you guys all friend me, I'll get you in the Camaraderie Rescue Mission group. We can let the group grow, and then everybody can see what it is we're doing on a regular basis.
Yeah,
you can see the horses, the hunting trips, the water events, the surf fishing. It's all in there. So you'll be able to see it. So it's so good. Man, you guys are awesome.
All right. So we are past our time, but we just want to thank you all again for showing up. Don't forget to join us again next week where we will have Chris Hennessy on. And stay tuned because we are definitely going to be helping Greg with his comrade rescue mission. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
And don't forget to go to the tcrmi.org and donate today.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm.
Way to make people keep saying 20 seconds. Say it 20 seconds. You got to say it. TCRMI.org. TCRMI.org. Sorry. I'm all fired up, man. You guys are doing it's amazing. I just love the support. Every time somebody does it, I'm humbled. It's so awesome. I can't stop. It's so good. Man, I love you guys. It's so good. I can't wait to see new pictures, get you on there, let you come to the group. It's just, man, I just think of so many people we can help, right?
Right.
Well, you know what, Greg?
Every donation, I think of people we can help.
Make sure to take the link from the show and just scatter it all across the universe.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'll scatter.
Your sharing tonight is infectious. And I would assert that this recording will make the difference.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. Hopefully I don't get put in the same. I'm sorry, I probably was bad. You have to edit that out. So hopefully, yeah, it'll come out good. People like, that dude's nuts. So, but
in a good way.
But I am. So
we can use a little more nuts in the world, Greg.
Yeah, y'all quit talking them on board. This is going to end up poorly for me. But hey, look, they're gonna give us money. It was great. They're talking and they're doing really cool stuff. Right? But I'm telling you, I kid, but I don't. I'm humbled. I'm overwhelmed, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much.
God bless.
Thank you. God bless you all.